Hey guys, this is Ash with Gamers Compete here. We are on part 9 of our Overwatch Complete Series. We are going to be covering Overwatch game modes for competitive, which are the Assault game mode, also known as 2CP, Control, also known as King of the Hill, Escort, also known as Payload maps, and the Hybrid, which is the Capture Escort maps. So, as far as assault maps go, we've got Hanamura, Horizon Lunar Colony, Temple of Anubis, Volskaya Industries, and Paris. As far as control maps go, we've got Lijiang Tower, Nepal, Ilios, Oasis, and Busan. As far as escort maps go, we've got Watchpoint Gibraltar, Dorado, Havana, Route 66, Junkertown, Rialto. And then hybrid maps are Kingsborough, Numbani, Hollywood, Eichenwald, and Blizzard World. So first thing I want to cover is a misunderstanding that I see a lot, and that's that you should have as many players on the point as you possibly can, or as many players escorting the payload as you can. So while having more players does make it faster to a point, there is a cap, and that is 3. Whether it be escort maps, if you're escorting the payload, or if you're capturing a point, 3 is the maximum speed at which you can do it. So as far as escort maps go, having the first person is going to be 100% of the payload's movement speed, having a second person is going to be 116.5% of its normal movement speed, and adding a third person is going to be 133% movement speed to its normal speed. As far as control points go, so when you're capturing a point, for 1 tick, so one of the 3 ticks to capture the point, having 1 person is going to take 8 seconds, 2 is going to be 5, and 3 players is going to make it 4. And then the next thing I want to clear up is when you are defending a payload map, you do not need to be sitting on the payload to move it back. It will naturally move back. You can just leave it alone and it'll move back by itself. The only time you really need to be touching it is if you need to contest point against the attackers. Now, continuing with escort and payload maps, when you are attacking and you are within range of the payload, it will actually heal you for 10 points per second, which will give you a slight advantage in healing, assuming, so say, well, not an advantage necessarily depending on the situation, but it can provide a bit of a boost to your team's healing. Say you have the exact same healer, say both teams are running Baptiste Mercy. Now, the attackers within range of the payload are going to get an additional 10 healing per second. More than the defenders who are fighting on the payload, which can give you a slight advantage when used properly. So the next thing I want to cover is overtime, which is a concept that applies to all the maps, and overtime is an extension of the normal match time, and it applies whenever an attacker touches point within 3 seconds being left on the clock. So if you have 3 seconds left and you touch point as you need to capture it, and you touch point within those 3 seconds of the last 3 seconds of the game, it will trigger the overtime clock. Even if you die, that gives you the 3 seconds. Now, during overtime, respawns are increased by 3 seconds as well, so that you take longer respawns. If a game is in overtime for more than 20 seconds, then the timer between touches starts to decrease very rapidly. So if you step off of point and stop contesting point after 20 seconds, the time you have to touch back is a lot faster, and you have to touch back a lot quicker than you normally would within those first 20 seconds. So now just a quick overview of all the game modes in depth. We have the assault type, which is basically 2 CP or 2 capture point. And so you have 2 points. When you capture the first point, a second point unlocks, and the defenders and attacker spawns will normally change to new spawn locations. And you have to capture those points within the given time. And next we have control maps, which is the King of the Hill game mode. Each team can capture the point, and as the point is captured in that team's favor, the percentage will slowly tick up, going up to 100%. At 99%, overtime will trigger if the attacking team is touching and it's not their point. Then it'll cycle through 3 different maps, best of 3, and the best of 3 wins. Then you have the escort maps or the payload maps, which is pretty simple. You have a payload, you push the payload through 2 to 3 checkpoints, and you see which team will push it farther. You take turns attacking and defending, whichever team pushes it farther, that's the winning team. Then you have hybrid maps, which are effectively you have a point to capture first, and then after capturing the point, the payload will present itself, and then you can escort the payload through some checkpoints. And whichever team can either get farther capturing or get farther in capturing and escorting the payload in total wins. And that's basically game modes in Overwatch. And I will see y'all later.